What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 4 of previewing all 30 NBA teams. So, today I'm going to be talking about the Boston Celtics. Sorry for not posting for a while. I've been very busy. It's finals week for my school, so I've got a lot of stuff to do. So, sorry I couldn't upload as much. I should be uploading more and more to come in the future, so look forward to that. So, getting into the Celtics. They're 43-21 this season, and which was third in the East. So before I talk about the Celtics, actually, I want to get into the season continuing. So the season's obviously now going to continue July 31st in Orlando, which is pretty cool. They're taking 22 teams down there, and it's going to be an interesting experience, new experience, but that's the best situation that they could possibly have, and I totally agree with what they're doing. You definitely want to have a season if there's a possibility of having one. So getting back into the Celtics, third in the East, 43-21. Great foundation for a championship building team. Brad Stevens is a great coach. He draws up some great plays. When he's out of bounds on the sideline or under the hoop, you always think they're going to score because Brad Stevens is known for the way he draws up plays. Sometimes he's degraded for his rotations, as last year he started Gordon Hayward over Jaylen Brown because some say it's their connection at Butler. But Brad Stevens is not going to get fired anytime soon. Danny Ainge won't fire him. He's a good coach and well-respected around the league. This team is very new with each other. Kemba Walker's obviously a new piece. Gordon Hayward's still getting affiliated with the roster. Enes Kanter's new. So this year was more of like a development chemistry year, and it didn't help that they were constantly hurt. I saw something where only their starting five played a combined games of 10 games together, which isn't good at all. I mean, when you have a new point guard, Jaylen Brown trying to improve, Jason Tatum trying to improve, Gordon Hayward trying to come back from injury, it's not a good thing to have players constantly being injured so they can't build the chemistry. Even with that being said, they still went 43-21. And they had some phenomenal players and performances throughout the year. Obviously, Kemba Walker was new, and he averaged 21 points per game. He averaged 5 assists, 4 rebounds on 42% from the field and 37% from three. So Kemba had a great season. Was it as good as his statistics-wise as his previous seasons in Charlotte? No. Was that expected? No. He obviously has more pieces around him. Jason Tatum can score. Jaylen Brown can score. Gordon Hayward can score. While back when he was in Charlotte, he's carrying the team on his back. And this isn't a knock on Kemba Walker, but I feel sorry for Kemba. He's obviously in a good situation right now, but his prime years were wasted in Charlotte, where he had no one around him, and he couldn't really do anything. He was never put in situations to succeed. In college, he was known as his cardiac Kemba because he came in these clutch situations and knocked down shots. But before this year, he was never put in situations before. And he hasn't reached the playoffs yet this year, but he's never really been in an opportunity where he could make clutch shots. He's always been in a situation where he has a losing record or has no chance of making it far in the playoffs. So at the backup point guard position, following Kemba, they didn't really have much. I mean, Marcus Smart played some backup 1 minutes, but he's not really a true backup point guard. He's not going to play make, and he's not going to set people up, and he's not the greatest ball handler. But Brad Wanamaker played some backup point guard minutes. He's like a below average backup point guard for the league. He averaged 6 points and 2.5 assists, 42% from the field. He's fine. He's nothing special. There's nothing to rave about Brad Wanamaker. He can come in and drop 12. He could actually score sometimes. He'll give you like 12 points, like I just said, on a good day. But they really need a good backup point guard. Looking into the free agency class for next year, there are some good options for backup point guard. The best option is Fred VanVleet, but he's obviously not going to go to Boston. He wants to be a starting point guard somewhere. He's not going to back up Kemba. Goran Dragic is an interesting option, but I don't see that happening either because he has a good niche in, Miami as a six-man right now. An interesting option could be Jeff Teague, who is a prolific playmaker. He could play some defense. And could score a little. He's past his prime, but when he was on the Hawks, he was a really good player. And if they could, obviously right now he's on the Hawks, but in his first stint with the Hawks, he was a very good player. So maybe they could get some good minutes out of him. Another interesting option would be Reggie Jackson. He could score and play defense as well. And the last option that I have is Austin Rivers, who I might have a little bias towards just because his insane high school mixtape. I mean, I search up Austin Rivers high school mixtape. Every NBA player has a good high school mixtape, yeah. But these are some of the craziest highlights I've ever seen. The things in high school he did were crazy. It's comparable to John Wall's high school mixtape. So, he would be a good backup point guard. He could distribute the ball. He could knock down the three. He could play defense. And that's what you want as a backup point guard for someone like Kemba, who isn't the best defender in the world. He's a little short, and he doesn't really steal the ball that much. He'll get you a steal every once in a while. He'll get you a steal a game, but defense isn't always about statistics. It's about how the other player does against them and how well they can defend the ball, not just how many steals or blocks they're getting. For example, someone on my team, Jared Allen, he may seem like a good defender because of the blocks he's picking up, but at times he's bullied in the paint by someone like Andre Drummond because he's not strong enough to keep up with these bigger men. So he may, statistically, he may seem like a great defender, but Kemba's not a great defender. Getting into the shooting guard position, Jaylen Brown started this year at shooting guard. Last year he came off the bench, and he posted a lot this year about how he was fighting depression and he was having all these mental issues last year, and this year he turned everything around. He was on my fantasy team this year, and he had a great season. I mean, I expected him to do well, but not this well. I am not going to lie, I kind of made fun of Celtics fans when they gave him this ridiculous extension that I thought he was overpaid, but he's kind of playing up to his money. Usually when you see players get paid, they tone it down a level, like Hassan Whiteside. When he got paid, his numbers went far down because he didn't care. He got his money. But Jaylen Brown's production has gone way up, and he's improving, and he could be a second or third best player in a championship roster. The backup shooting guard position, Marcus Smart, who is a great backup. He'll not fill up the box score. He averaged 13 points per game, only off 42% from the field and 38% from three. Not 38, 34% from three. But he is a locker room guy. He's a glue guy. He plays great defense. He flops sometimes, but he's a great guy to have on your roster. He's going to compete. He's going to work his butt off. And you know what you're going to get from him. He's not going to take a day off. He's going to work hard. And it's great to have someone on your roster like that to motivate other players and to have someone that you know off the bench could lock up or try to lock up one of their better players. So getting into their small forward position, Gordon Hayward and Jason Tatum, interchangeable small forward and power forward. I'm just going to go with Jason Tatum, saying he started at small forward. Obviously, he had, along with Jaylen Brown, a breakout year. He averaged 24 points per game off 7 rebounds, 3 assists off 45% from the field and 40% from three. Last year, people were a little down on Jason Tatum. There's the whole jokes. He's only 21 when he wasn't that good. But he really proved himself this year. There was a lot of hate because he was getting mentored by Kobe, and then he was not passing, and he was chucking up bad shots, and he lost his rhythm. That was all last year, and this year he proved all the critics wrong. He was arguably the best player on this roster. He put up the most points, but you could argue Kemba too, just because of his leadership and his experience in the NBA. But if next year Jason Tatum's a guy who averages 25 points per game and is undoubtedly the best player on the roster, they'll be a championship contender. If Jason Tatum emerges even more as someone who could be the best player on a championship team, this roster is going to be scary. Do I see that happening next year? No. I think Jason Tatum down the line can be the best player on a championship team, but next year, do I see him on the same level as someone like Kawhi or LeBron or Steph or KD or even someone like Kyrie? Maybe someone like Kyrie, but definitely not on the upper echelon where it's KD, Kawhi, LeBron, someone like that. I don't see him at that level next year. Maybe 3 years down the line, him and Giannis will be dominating the NBA, but I don't see that yet. Now I'll have to see a little bit more. But his future is definitely promising. There's no doubt he's going to be a future All Star for the next 10 or so years. He's going to have a great career because he's long, he's athletic, he can knock down a shot. He's not the best defender in the world, but when he wants to, he could play some defense. He's just a great all-around player, and he has a great foundation to be a superstar player in the next years to come. At backup small forward, they really don't have much. Semi Ojeleye played some backup small forward, but it was really when they were healthy, it was Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart switching off at all 4 positions, like interchangeably. I mean, Semi Ojeleye played some minutes, but he wasn't really getting the bulk of the minutes in a game. Semi Ojeleye was fine. He averaged 3 points per game. He plays good defense. That's about what he does. Besides that, he's not really much of a threat offensively. So that's why he got some minutes, just because of his defense. But next year, if they really want to compete for a championship, I don't think you could have a guy like Semi Ojeleye playing some minutes in a playoff game or even a big regular season game. So they maybe need to find an upgrade at the backup small forward position. But there's more positions that they need help in, which I'm going to get to later. At the power forward position, Gordon Hayward, who I also feel bad for because he was having a resurgence season this year. He was coming back. He was averaging 17 points per game. And again, he couldn't find a way to stay healthy down the line. He broke his hand. He was having other issues. I just feel bad because when he was playing for the Jazz, he was a superstar. And he was carrying his Jazz teams to the playoffs. And he just can't stay healthy in Boston. I think next year he'll definitely be healthier because a broken hand isn't really like a scary... I mean, it's a scary injury, but it's not something where it's going to affect him for the rest of his career, like an Achilles injury or like a hip injury or something like that, where it's like a reoccurring injury that could have a lasting impact on his career. But his health is still definitely something to worry about. I like Gordon Hayward a lot. If he's a 4th option on a team, that's a good 4th option. I mean, Jason Tatum, then you have Kemba, Jaylen Brown, and Gordon Hayward. That could be if they stay healthy and if they live up to their expectations next year. I don't say they're going to win the championship, but they could come out of the East or come close and contend with the Nets and the Bucks for the East. I don't think Philly is really there, just because I don't think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid really work together, but I'm not going to get into that this video. That's when I preview them, so I'll talk about that then. And going into the center position, this is where the position that needs work. Daniel Tice would be a good backup center on a good team. He gives you 10 points. He gives you 6 rebounds, but he's not a starting center on the championship roster. Now getting into Enes Kanter, my least favorite player in the Celtics roster. Nothing against him personally at all. It's just I don't like the way he plays basketball. He can't shoot. He's a horrific defender. He seems to fill up the stat sheet sometimes, but it's meaningless points, it seems like. And every time he's out there, I feel like the Celtics are just doing worse. You saw this as Brad Stevens was getting him minimal minutes down the line later in the season and giving Robert Williams more minutes at the backup center position. I just don't like Enes Kanter as a player. I think they need a true center next year who could come in and play defense because Enes Kanter can't do that. You don't want a center that isn't someone who's going to give you like 30 points a game. If he's not giving you 30 points a game or like 25 points a game and he can't protect the rim or play defense, that's not a good center to me. Cat gets away with it because of his scoring. But even then, people are still saying his defense needs to improve, and he's averaging close to 30 a game. So obviously, Enes Kanter is not the answer at the center position. I think Daniel Tice is a good backup center next year, but looking at the free agent class for centers, Andre Drummond's probably going to take his player option. Someone like Montrezl Harrell's interesting. He's a little on the smaller end for a center. He's like 6'8", 6'8" or something, or up to 6'9" maybe. He's not tall. Serge Ibaka is an interesting option. He could stretch the floor. He could play defense. Even Tristan Thompson could play some defense. Marc Gasol would be a great option I think, because although he's older, he's not going to score that great. He's still a threat from three. He can knock it down. He plays defense. He's great interior defense, and he can't move like he used to, but he could still move more than Enes Kanter. Derek Favors is not a bad option. I don't think they're going to take the risk on someone like Boogie Cousins, because they don't want to take someone's personality on like that, and they don't really need his scoring, and who knows how he's going to turn out. I feel like someone who's rebuilding is going to take the risk on Boogie, or maybe even the Lakers will try to re-sign him. Who knows? Boogie's had an interesting career. Dwight Howard maybe, but I think he's going to stay in LA. And Hassan Whiteside, I don't think that's a great option, because they would have to pay him a lot of money, and because he's going to want some money, and I don't think they're going to have the money for that. So overall, the Celtics were averaged 113 points per game, which was 13th in the NBA. Obviously not bad, but it's not bad. The not bad is acceptable, because they weren't healthy all year. They didn't have their four main scorers healthy throughout the year. So obviously next year, even with Jason Tatum improving, Jaylen Brown improving, Gordon Hayward being more healthy, and Kemba being more suited in the Celtics uniform, these numbers are going to go up. And if they get a good center, these numbers will go even more up. If they get a better backup point guard, these numbers will go even more up. So I think they could finish in top 10 in scoring next year. And they only averaged 108.8 points per game, which was second in the NBA. So obviously their defense is already there, even with a bad defending center at backup. Daniel Tice obviously can play some defense. But if you get rid of Enes Kanter, put someone like Marc Gasol, and get someone like Jeff Teague or Austin Rivers, and having players more healthy and more affiliated with the Celtics roster, this team's going to be a top 3 seed in the East again. I know they're third in the East this year, but with the Nets healthy next year, I think the Nets are going to be the 2 seed. But that might not even be true, because the Nets can't stay healthy with KD and Kyrie. So the Celtics could easily take this 2 seed for the regular season. So I see them finishing somewhere from 2 to 4 next year. I don't think they're going to really go far in the playoffs this year with a continued season. I think they could get out of the first round, but maybe they can maybe make it to the Eastern Conference semifinals, but I don't think they're there quite yet this year. They don't have the chemistry. Their players are still developing, and I think someone like the Bucks will beat them. I think they could give Philly a run for their money. I think they'd beat Indiana. We'll see, though. Who knows? They could possibly make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think they're going to make it out of the East, but they could make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and give Bucks some problems. I know people were saying that the Celtics could beat the Bucks, but who knows? I mean, Jason Tatum is known to be good in the playoffs. Kemba obviously known to be clutch. Giannis hasn't performed that well in the playoffs, so who knows? We'll just have to see. And I think the Celtics have a great foundation for the future. I think in the next 3 to 4 years, they'll definitely be contending for a title each year. So that wraps up the video for today. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, follow the Instagram at @the_roundup talk show. Thank you. Peace out.